Well, hello there. It's the Archivist from TradingCardArchives.com, and I'm here today to open some magic cards. This is new, huh? I've never done this on the channel before. You might think it's kind of a weird departure, but let me just give you a little bit of history so that you can understand that magic is actually a pretty big part of what I do personally, even though I don't talk about it very often. And in fact, in the 1,000 videos we've done on this channel, we've never really opened any magic cards before. We'll open a few more. There's a couple sets coming out, like the Final Fantasy one I'm definitely going to open up. And we'll talk about that too. But this one, I was just so excited about that I had to go and get myself a box of it to open. It's not the current set. It's like one behind the current set, but this is still in standard right now. This is Bloomburrow. So Bloomburrow is the name of it. And the tagline is the same as my title here, Tiny Tales, Big Adventures. So Bloomburrow is this amazing magic set where what they did is they took this artwork of all these tiny little animals. So you got like little lizards, mice, rabbits, lots of rabbits. There's like tons of rabbits, badgers, and then these big hawks and things. But it's all these little animals in a forest, sort of having a magic battle all on their own, right? And so instead of it being like wizards and planeswalkers, although there are planeswalkers in here, but instead of dealing with it on that sort of grand scale, they took it all down to this much smaller scale and also made it just incredibly cute. You'll see as we get into the artwork on these cards that they are just some of the cutest magic cards that have been created. Maybe, I mean, there have been some jumpstart sets and things that were probably just as cute as this, but this is definitely one of the cuter mainline sets in recent memory, at least. Now, for the history part of it. So Magic is a game that I've played for a long, long, long time. I don't own any physical cards, though. I never really have. I mean, I own like a couple decks. What I play is Horde Magic by myself. I won't go into that again. I talked about that in like a single player card game video I made. But I play Magic Arena, so Magic the Gathering Arena and Magic Online before that that's the way I play Magic. And I don't get a ton of time to do it these days. Back in like when I had more time as a young man, I would play 5-6 hours a day, right? But now it's like 30 minutes a week if I'm lucky. I don't even get to play every day, but I still like on Arena. I've been playing Magic the Gathering Arena since it came out, and actually from before it came out. And I have every pad, every sleeve, all the cards from all the sets. Like I have a very complete set in there, which costs a lot of money, but that's, I enjoy that, and that's something that I do. This is actually the first ever booster box of Magic that I've ever bought. So I've never bought one before in my entire life. This is the first one ever. And I'll talk about where I got it and why I sort of decided to start now. But before I do that, I want to tell you another story. So this thing that you've been looking at over here, you're probably like, what is that? Is that some kind of counterfeit magic cards? And I'll tell you, before this video, I had to spend some time talking with ChatGPT about this because I wasn't sure what I was able to say and what I'm allowed to talk about, but I cleared a few things with her, and I don't know, such as it is. But at the time that I received this pack, I received this pack in I think 2018. I was working at Niantic, and I was working mostly on the Pokemon Go side of things. So I did security and copyright enforcement, not like watch the door security, but like binary security, anti-hacking basically for Pokemon Go. Yeah, if you tried to hack Pokemon Go, I was the one you were fighting against. Sorry, but anyway, Niantic at that time was one of 4 partners of Wizards of the Coast who were building these fast-paced versions of Magic. So the idea was to take all of the artwork that Wizards owns around Magic and all the lore and everything and turn it into a fast-paced game, kind of like Clash of Clans, right? So Clash of Clans is that tower rush game, right? And that's what ended up getting released. So the game Mana Strike by Netmarble and then another one called Spellslingers actually did get released, and I think maybe they're not in the store anymore, but you could play them for a while. And they were basically these fast-paced versions of Magic that weren't magic at all, but they were just like using the art and lore, right? At Niantic, we had a version we were working on too. Ours was internally codenamed Mana Strike, even though Netmarble stole that name for the public release. That's what our internal code name was. And I remember playtesting that game for months. I worked on it myself. I worked on the security side of it. And at one of the milestones, so when you work in game development, there's like these milestone meetings where you present the game and they basically are either going to pay you to keep working on it or stop, right? And at one of the milestones where they didn't tell us to stop, they gave all the developers who were working on the game one of these packs. And that's what this is. So this is a prototype Magic the Gathering pack. So these were printed in China and they're in Chinese, right? And this barcode is fake on the back, but this is a legit Wizards prototype product. These packs will sell for around $100, $200, something like that to the right people who know what it is, can prove what it is, right? Because it's hard to prove what this is, but like I can, like I have proof that this is what it is. My working at Niantic and all that, right? So there's provenance behind this that wouldn't be there if you just picked up a random pack that looked like this. I'm not going to open this because, yeah, the cards inside here are prototype cards, right? So they'll be very different from any other Magic card that you've seen. And yeah, and so it's a pretty special kind of thing that I have because of that work that I did. So I kind of wanted to show you the pack. Although, like I said, I'm not going to open that today, but we'll open all these. Now, before though we open this, I do want to explain where I got this from, because it's kind of a neat story. And I know I already told it in the video where I opened the box that this came in, but I'm going to tell it again now in case people are watching this for the first time. But I have been a fan of this YouTube channel, Alpha Investments, run by Creepy Rudy, or Florida Man, whatever you want to call him. If you don't know who Rudy is, just go watch any video. You can kind of see here, I watch all of it. You can see I've watched like all of his videos. The man is very strange, very offensive. Like if you have kind of like weak skin and you're not ready for offensive things, don't listen to him because he says some really offensive stuff sometimes. But he's also very smart, and he was a broker, like a Wall Street broker for a long time, and helped billionaires manage their money. And so he talks a lot about that and then applies those same strategies to his magic endeavors. And you can kind of see in the places that he films, he has probably the world's biggest collection of Magic the Gathering sealed product. And I don't mean that as in he has a room full of Magic the Gathering. I mean that as in he has multiple large warehouses full of Magic the Gathering sealed product, tens of millions of dollars invested in this product. You can see behind him there, those are just cases of Magic just stacked to the ceiling, right? And he has tons of those. He also has, I don't know if I can find a good video. There it is. He has a warehouse full of Lego as well. So he has 5 copies of every single Lego set ever made, right? And so the man has a lot of crazy stuff, and he has stories to tell and things, and it's, I think, well worth watching. He's been on YouTube for a long time. He'll tell you himself, a whole decade. He'll say it all the time. But he also runs a Patreon, and Rudy, the Magic guy, runs the biggest Patreon that isn't OnlyFans, basically. So it's like it's Rudy and OnlyFans. Those are kind of the only top things on Patreon. Rudy is very big. And the thing with his Patreon is if you join it, you can't leave. So once you leave, he sort of bans your address and will never ship to your address again. So I guess you could move and maybe trick him, but that's about it, right? You can't join otherwise. So he doesn't want you to join, buy some things, leave, and then come back a month later. He wants people who are in it for the long run and will ride through the lows and also the highs, right? So it's an investing thing, basically, is what he's trying to show people with this. And so I waited a long time before I became a patron of him, for that reason, because I wasn't sure that I was going to stay for a long time. But I did this time. I budgeted the money and everything. I made sure that I can stay for at least 2 years as a patron before I would have to think about leaving again, right? And what's really cool is he sells magic boxes for well below uh, what the market would have, right? So this Bloomburrow box I'm going to open today, you can go on eBay and buy these for about $140, $150. Rudy will just sell them for I want to say it's like 118 right now. I can't remember, but it's about I think it's about $120. He'll sell it to you for just like $30 under market, and that's without tax and shipping. He ships it for that, right? That's all in, right? So it's a great deal, but again, you have to be ready to stay forever, right? Um, and then the reason that I joined recently is you can kind of see on the screen here, the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering set is just destroying the market right now. Like these collector boxes are selling for $900. Like it's completely insane what they're selling for. Rudy sold them all last night. He sold out of them in like 10 minutes or something, or I guess 26 minutes it took him to sell out. And he was selling them for like $730, which was a lot. But if you just bought it last night, woke up this morning, you could have made $100 in one day, right? That's how crazy this market is right now. I actually bought a case of Final Fantasy boosters from him, and I'll be getting those in about a couple weeks probably. And yeah, we'll open one of those too when it gets here. But he sold the cases for $999. So if you're interested in Magic and want it cheap, this Patreon is the best way to do it. You just have to be ready not to leave. And then the last page I'll show you here, this is TCG Player, which I know they got icky in the past week. I've been paying a little bit of attention to that, some union things and stuff. I don't, yeah, I don't care. I don't want to say I don't care, but I just don't want to get into that right now. But what they are still the best place to get prices for cards, right? So what I have here are the Bloomburrow price guide ordered by highest price to lowest, right? So these are some of the highest price Bloomburrow cards that exist. Now these are raised foil variants. Raised foil is only in the collector boxes, so we won't be pulling any of those today from this play box. This play box won't have raised foil in it. So those all these like super expensive cards, right? But even down here, you have some borderless lands. Those art cards, we call those like full art lands. Those are still like $40 cards, right? We might not, but we could pull one of those today, or we could pull any of these higher tier rares and mythics that rapidly drop in price, but are still $10 cards, right? So it's possible that we get a good card today. So I have this up over on my other screen to kind of guide us a little bit, basically. And so without any more talk, because I feel like I already talked a lot, let's get into opening some Magic cards, because we are going to do this whole box today. This whole thing. So we're going to open the entire thing. There are 36 packs in here, which is the equivalent of 2 Kaio boxes, right? So this is the same number of packs as if I was opening like 2 boxes of My Little Pony or something. I don't really know what that is. So I think it's some kind of guide that they made, but chances are you probably want. Oh, and this is for the draft. Okay, cool. So the cool thing about this is called a play booster. Magic messes around with their boosters and stuff all the time, but in the past couple of years they've started to make play boosters, and the idea is that you can use them for draft, limited play of all kinds, and also just to open like I'm doing today. So they're meant to sort of serve both purposes. In the past, Wizards would publish a specific draft booster, and then they'd also publish a play booster, and they'd be like 2 different things. But in recent years, they've just merged them into one, and that's what this is. So that card is kind of helping you, if you were going to run a draft, helping you to realize that, like, I don't want to get into that too much, but yeah, I don't know if people probably don't, not everyone probably knows how to play Magic and stuff. It's kind of a very clever game, though, the way it works, because it doesn't need, there are cards that need other things like markers and dice and things, but for the most part, you can play this with just the cards, right? And I love that about the game. Star Wars CCG by Decipher is the same way. It was designed really elegantly where you don't need any life counters or anything like that. Magic, actually, you do need one life counter. You got to keep it in your head of your own life. Star Wars doesn't even have that. The Star Wars game is completely self-contained in the cards, and I always thought that was sort of the cool thing about it. So this is, I guess, an art series. I'm not entirely sure what that is, but I don't think that's worth a whole lot or anything. Um, no, I'm gonna sleeve it, and then if we get one in every pack or something, I'll stop doing that. Now the foils, I will sleeve. So with Magic, this game has been going for like 40 years now, with the same card back since the very beginning. This symbol over here tells you both the set, so that shape is the Bloomburrow set. It also will say BLB, that's Bloomburrow down there. And then silver means this is an uncommon card. And then the foil is just a special treatment. So every pack will have one foil card in it. This is a full art land, but it's a basic, so it's not, it's not going to be worth as much as a full art rare land would be. And then here is our first. So I'm going to try to keep these organized today, but it's going to be tough because there'll be a lot of packs on the table. This is our first rare. And you can see how just amazingly cool this art is, right? And so this is a squirrel warlock, which I love it, right? He's a 2/2 creature. He's got death touch. He requires swamp magic, black magic to black mana to use. And then here's an uncommon. I don't think I need to sleeve these uncommons, but I'll just kind of show them to you here. But here's an instance. This is like a spell that you could cast. Another instant here. I told you there's a lot of rabbits in this, like a lot. If you like rabbits, there's a lot of rabbits. Brambleguard Captain, a mouse soldier. There's a giant creature. This is an elemental Wolverine. Wow, that's wild. Also, man, that thing is causing havoc. You can see here it's sort of attack and defense, or we call it like power and life. So 5/4 there. Magic is a complex game. If you try to get into this game, it's sort of like trying to play EVE Online or something. It's like there can be a learning curve to it all. But it's not too bad. I think if you start with Arena, you can figure it out pretty quickly. And once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. But then the curve part of the learning is that you need to learn the cards. And so there's all these different ways to play it. The most common sort of format is called standard. I mean, it's literally called standard, right? And in standard format, okay, so you're getting an art card in every single one. Oh, but that one's got like a signature on it. I don't know, this one doesn't have a signature on it. Huh. Well, I'm going to sleeve that too, because that's pretty wild. That's amazing. I love it. And then our foil here is an uncommon. Again, we're really looking for like a rare foil. That would be sort of what we would really want, right? And I can keep all the art cards over here. And then we got another full art land. Although I'm starting to think maybe those full art lands are common, pretty common in this set. They are something that everybody kind of likes. Like everyone loves full art lands. I do too. Whenever I play Magic Arena, whenever I make a deck, I always fill it with like all my full art lands because I have every single one. So if I need like 24 forests for a deck, that's a lot. If I need like 20 forests for a deck, I'll put like a different full art in every one. So every single one of my lands is different. It's awesome. This is a mythic rare. So that when that's orange like that, it means it's mythic. And the mythics also have a little emblem down here that is sort of like a little hologram that is meant to make it harder to fake the card. Although, as someone who dabbles in printing cards once in a while, I can tell you people sell those stickers. They're very easy to fake. So don't, that's not good enough to verify a Magic card. I would say the only way to really verify a Magic card is to feel it. These cards are printed on a kind of paper called black core paper that is hard to get. Not impossible, but hard to get. And there's only like one company in Germany that will sell it to you. And I've tried to get it before, actually. I made a little company and contacted them and was like, I want to buy this. And they're like, no. So yeah, it's tricky to get that paper. Even if you could, you have to get an industrial quantity, which is like a 10-foot wide roll, and it weighs, it comes on a semi truck. It's like a big amount. But then you could make very good fakes of Magic cards. And even with that problem, like there's a different kind of paper called blue core that is very easy to buy, and that kind of, what am I doing? I don't need, this is a, sorry, what is this? This is a token. I'm sorry, this is a token. So Magic has a lot of token creatures, or token creating creatures, and that's kind of what that is. Okay, we got a foil full art land. That could be a little nicer. So that's a foiled land there. And then we got our first, I don't know what this is interesting. I'll do a little research on this card because I'm not sure exactly what it is. We have sort of like an alternate border on this guy, and it is a rare. So, and then it also has an emblem, which tells me that this card is a little bit more rare than the others. So let me pause here and I'll go look this up. Sorry, this video might get long. We have a lot of packs to go through. Although as we go, we'll speed up, for what it's worth. I'll be right back. I just want to check this card out quick. All right, I found it. It's called a showcase. That's this style of card. And in the showcase treatment like this, it's worth about $1.40. So, about $1 card. Not the worst. Like, you get enough dollar cards and you can definitely make your money back. Although, I don't know. I got this box so cheap from Rudy that it's actually probably possible that I make the money back from it. But I'll warn you, that is not typical. If you watch people opening play boxes on YouTube, which you're doing right now, thank you, you probably notice that they don't often make their money back. If they say they are, they're probably lying. It's not easy to make your money back from a play box unless you get it cheap. So either you got it cheaply, some random person just sold you one for cheap, or you got it from Rudy's. Pretty much the only ways to get cheap Magic these days. Although Magic, like all markets, Pokemon too, right? All the markets go up and down, right? So there were like 2 years ago, Magic was down, and you could buy boxes for very cheap at that time, relatively, right? And I would say, like, if you did, you could then open them today and make quite a lot of money. Whereas if you bought the exact same box today, you wouldn't be able to make money from it, right? So it's all about sort of the price you paid for the box relative to what you can pull from it. Here's a foil mythic rare. That's pretty good, I would say. Season of the Bold. Very cool. For me, these cards are really just going to be archived and sold because I don't play paper Magic ever. It's just not something that I play. I play digital Magic on Arena. I wanted to work on Arena, actually. I don't know if I should start this whole story, but another thing I do, I talked a little bit about this is another mythic rare here, about the Star Wars CCG game, right? That game has a digital version, and it had a digital client that was great. Like, it's awesome that it existed, but it was a little bit old feeling, right? It still is. If you go play it, it's called GEMP. And if you go there and you play it, it just looks like this old JavaScript website. And the engineer who made it, Tibesti, I know this guy. He's a genius, and the fact that he made this at all is amazing. So I'm not knocking him in any way. But he was not a UI designer at all, like not even close. And he'll say that too. He just basically made the most basic version of a client that he could to make the game work. What I did is about 5 or 6 years ago when I couldn't get a job working on Arena. I tried. They would not hire me, which their mistake. But we can get into that too later. But I went ahead and made an arena-like client for Star Wars and Star Wars CCG, and it's now official. So I work with the official group that runs Star Wars CCG, and my client is on their server, and you can go play it there. It's called Epic Duel, and it's a full 3D client with just like Magic Arena. It looks exactly the same, right? Because I basically was like, I'm going to show you guys that I can do this, and I did it. And built that whole client completely on my own. Well, not totally on my own. I had some help from artists and things, but for all the code, it was all mine. And the coolest thing is it all runs in a browser still. Like you don't need to download anything to play it. It'll run on like any computer that you have. It's a very, very cool way to play the game, I think. So this is what it's like to open a booster box. Oh God. Whew. Sorry. I haven't really explained much about what this what the rules all mean and stuff. I don't want to get too deep into it, but Magic does a really good job. The Final Fantasy set is like this too, but they do a really good job of sort of the flavor of their theme, and I'll explain what that means. So the theme of this set is small forest animals, right? That's the theme, right? So if you think about what would the flavor of that mean? And to me, what that means is that the forest animals do the things you would think they would do, right? So otters swim in the water, they're blue mana, like it makes sense, right? Uh, the squirrels, they hoard tokens and things, just like real squirrels hoard nuts, right? It's sort of their flavor. The rabbits reproduce like rabbits. That's what they do. And they do that in the game too. And so you can be I suppose I should probably keep this foil mythic rare over to the side here. There we go. Maybe any foil. Okay, there's no foil rares yet. But if we get a foil rare, I might keep it over there too. Anyway, but yeah, the rabbits in the game are like dangerous because of how productive they can be, meaning that you can end up facing, you know, hundreds of rabbits if you're not careful about letting the opponent stopping, like wiping the board basically, so that the opponent can't do that, or blocking their spells, right? Sometimes when I'm playing Arena, if I'm playing against a rabbit deck and I know I'm going to lose, a lot of people would just concede. But sometimes I like to just see what they can do, right? And it's kind of fun for the other person too. So I'll just sit there and I'll let them go and like let them do it. And you could get hundreds of rabbits out, and it's pretty wild to see. But it's kind of a fun part of the game. And I think Magic has always done a good job of capturing that flavor. And so the Final Fantasy set that's coming out soon includes a lot of that. So here's a squirrel. And it includes like all the flavor of Final Fantasy. And so all the characters of Final Fantasy sort of behave and act and are, you know, working the way you would think they would from the games, right? And so that's why that set is going to be so hugely popular. I mean, it's popular enough that like I even came back, right? And started okay. So I thought I had a big card. I don't. So this is Ral Crackling Wit. This is one of the Planeswalkers. Mythic rare, but there's a borderless version of this that would be worth $8. The non-borderless, probably not worth $8. But I can go through all these later and try to, you know, at the end of the video, I can go through and try to figure out roughly how much money we made here. But I'm telling you, it's unlikely that it will be much more than about $100. And that's just because Wizards has been doing this for a long time. And if you remember the story from the beginning, I have worked not for Wizards, but with Wizards. I've, been in the room with Wizards designers, talked to their engineers. I've worked with their engineers directly. Uh, so I kind of know they're very good at this, and they're not going to overprint a set, or they're not going to make a play box that is worth more than its cost. And the other thing is that the fans, the people like me, right, who open this kind of product, although I'm not as good as most, there's people, right, like Rudy, who open cases and cases of this. They know everything about it, right? It's a science. It's not an unknown quantity. There's no way you're gonna sort of pull one over on that kind of a community. It's not gonna happen. Just want to point out again though, just like how amazing is the art on this? So good. And this isn't even a this isn't like a expanded world. What do they call? Yeah, expanded world set. I think they call them other world. I don't remember. But anyway, it's not like one of the side sets. This is a mainline Magic set. This one, it's meant to be mixed in with all the regular wizards and stuff, and it is like if you play on Arena, you'll see the rabbits, right next to giant poisonous death monsters. Like they're just it's all there in the same deck, and somehow it all makes sense and works. I love it. I love it. I love it. Also, as I'm opening these, I want to ask, as always, for feedback, if you like this type of video, me opening Magic cards. I realize it's very different from the kind of thing I usually do, but it is a part, like I said, a part of what I enjoy. So if it's something you like, I would be happy to do more of it. Um, but at the same time, there's a lot of anime cards out there that we need to get open too, so we can't do only Magic. But I could do more. It's not a problem for me. I would not mind. Like for me, I enjoy this. This is like a lot of fun. So I have not gotten to open like a full booster box in a long, long time. God, that is beautiful, that card. Amazing. I think one of the only, well, I opened a lot of Pokemon boosters uh, when my son and I played. But when I was growing up, the only booster box I ever opened as an actual kid, right? Which is when it's the most exciting, right? As an adult, it's awesome, but like, you know, to me, this costs the same as like a fancy dinner or something, right? So it's not like a huge expense for me to pick one of these up. Sorry if that's a problem. But it just isn't, right? I love it. There's little tokens like that. Um, but when you're a kid, like this is a huge deal, and getting one of these is like a massive, massive deal. And I remember when I was growing up, I got a box of the Hoth set of Star Wars CCG and opened that with my brother, and that was like a lot of fun opening and sorting them all. And I remember I pulled like the Death Star and a super or not a, yeah, I pulled like a super laser. Well, that was special edition. I had the special edition one too. Yeah, that was tons of fun. Into the Flood Maw. This card, I dislike this card. I don't like this. This is a control card. So Magic has like multiple kinds of decks that you can build. You can build aggressive decks where you just go and try to hurt the other opponent all the time. You can build like weird janky decks where you try to make the opponent lose by discarding all their cards, that kind of thing. This is part of the control meta. And so in the control meta, you attempt to make the opponent have to undo everything, or you block everything they try to do. And you just try to make it so that the opponent can't do anything unless you want them to. And that's kind of how you win. So what this card does, I mean, I knew it just from the picture. But what it does is it returns a creature that you have paid for already. It makes you take it back, basically. So I hate this card because I usually play aggressive decks, and the opponent will wait until I put out like a really expensive creature, and I've already paid for it, and then they play that card, and I have to take it all back, and I'm never too happy about it. I'll concede those games. Basically, like if I'm in a game and the other person has negate, which is a spell that blocks all spells, or any of those sort of return to hand cards, and they start playing them every turn, I will just give up because I'm like, I'm not gonna win this, and also it's gonna be so annoying, like so annoying. There was a Magic set that came out, must be, oh God, I don't remember now. It must be like four years ago, called Throne of Eldraine. It was based on fairy tales, like Puss in Boots and the Gingerbread Man, that kind of stuff. We got another showcase card here. Wick the World Mind. Very cool. Showcase, we'll put that there because it's a rare. And that one had this card in it called it had like the Witch's Stove and a cat. And those two cards worked together where you could put the cat into the witch's stove like you're cooking. It was kind of dark and morbid. But if you did it, it would like multiply the cat over and over and over again. And once you had that strategy out on the board, the opponent basically would never be able to stop you. Even if they had board wipes and everything, there's just no way. And so that deck was the most annoying deck ever, like ever in the past decade at least. That thing was so horrifying. So of course I played that deck every single chance I got. Like I played that deck for like whole seasons. And it was funny because it got to the point late in the season where you would start the game and you would you'd put out your first mana, you'd put out your second mana, and then you would. This is just an ad. This card is just an ad. Okay, thanks. But no thanks. And then you'd put out your Witch's Oven, and as soon as the opponent saw that card, they would concede. Like just instantly, right? And it was just like faster for them to get out of there than to entertain what you were about to do. Because you could make it so your turn took like 20 minutes if you wanted. And in the most annoying, and it's just like annoying, it's just annoying the whole way through. I loved it so much. Sorry if you played against me, but man, that was fun. This is Paw Patch Recruit. This is another like major card that's played all the time. Like again, I don't really know the value. Like I don't think we pulled anything that was like major value yet. But I'll try to point out the cards that I know from the game and that I've seen and that have hurt me. Who hurt you? Not that card. The Maw card. That's the one that hurt me. The card is a night. Sorry, I hate control decks. Unless I'm playing them, but even then, I really don't like them. They require a lot of strategy. It's a beautiful fish token. I'm not. I mean, I can do strategy, but at the same time, I vastly prefer just getting in there and having a fight, right? I would rather just have a fight than anything else. Beautiful. I'm starting to see, yeah, these full art lands are incredibly common. You get one in every single pack. So, yeah, those are not rare at all. It's weird because back in the day, like, I guess probably more than a decade ago now, something like a full art land would be a huge deal to get. This is a vehicle. There are vehicles in Magic, believe it or not. There was even a whole set built around racing, which was not good. I didn't think it was good, but it existed. Another favorite card of mine from recent years, this one's probably a little bit older, is called Yorick. Yorick was a legendary monster like a giant death dragon thing, and his power was called Echo. And what it would do is it would copy anything that happened. So to you, so on your side of the board, if you did something like if you had the rabbit, you can't really do York and rabbit anymore unless you play historic, but I doubt it's competitive. Um, but if you could, what would happen is you'd play the rabbit card. It would make like 10 rabbit tokens, and then York would double it and make 20 rabbit tokens, right? But then you could have like York and another thing, and you could like quadruple it, and you could end up with like 40 tokens in one turn. It was pretty crazy. And then I talked about standard, right? And standard is sort of this rotating format where only the past 4 or 5 mainline sets are included, and everything else is banned basically from that format. And so you have to always be moving forward. It's their way to keep you buying new sets all the time, from a cynical point of view. But also it makes it easier to get into it, right? So if a new player wants to join and play standard, they don't have to buy 40 years worth of Magic cards, some of which are literally impossible to buy, right? Instead, they can buy just the most recent stuff, which is theoretically still available in stores and everything. But there are other formats like Historic, which lets you go back, not all the way, but pretty far back, and play like a lot of different cards together. And then there's like Timeless, which is everything, right? You can play any card you want. Um, but it's funny because if you try to play Timeless in Arena, you'll get this big warning, and it'll be like, prepare yourself. These battles are ruthless, right? And that is no joke, that warning. If you don't know what you're doing and you get into a Timeless battle, even if you think you have like a really, really awesome deck, like you spent hours on it, you studied everything, you think you know everything, right? You will get in there and the person you're playing against will kill you before you even have a chance to do anything. Before you can do anything, you'll be dead, right? It's just insane what is possible from the combinations of cards, because at that point you're pulling from a card pool that's like 30,000 cards, probably not that many, maybe like 20,000 cards. It could be 30. I don't actually know, but it would be a lot, right? And then if you don't actually know all of those cards, you have no hope basically of playing in there. So I've played a few historic matches. I have a goblins deck I use for that, which is, I know as soon as I said that, everyone's like, oh God, horrible. You're right. It's a very annoying, horrible deck. I love it. But it's one of the only ways to be competitive in historic is to play really annoying stuff, because everybody else is, right? And so if you're not doing that, everyone else is. So here is a foil rare. That's pretty cool. That is a legendary rabbit warrior. Let's put that there, and we'll put that right there, because that's a nice foiled rare. Another full art land. And we're about halfway through this box. This box, like I said, will take me a while to get through. I assume this video will be over an hour long. But I just, I don't get to do Magic often. So when I have a chance, I do want to, do it right and tell you guys some stories that I've never told before. Which you probably thought, hey, the archivist has told every story 10 times. He must not have any more stories. Wrong. I got more stories to tell you, man. It's wild. That there are some crazy Magic stories for sure. But there's a lot of stuff too that I can't talk about. Just it's unfortunate, but it's just the way it is. Here's another one of those sort of signed ones. I'll put that up there. But yeah, it's just the way it is with the games industry is you sign NDAs when you get to work on projects, and I put it that way on purpose. Like when you're working at a game studio, like Niantic, right? They're kind of nothing now. They actually were sold to Scopely. They don't even exist as a company. I think they exist for maybe 2 or 3 more days, but on June 11th they won't exist anymore. The Scopely will own them. Uh, but when they were at their height, they had 500 people working for them, right? I joined the company when there was only like 40 people, but they had like 500. They had maybe 10 games that they were working on at any time, right? There were not many people at Niantic who knew what all of those games were, right? Most people at Niantic were what we call siloed, and on purpose siloed for security reasons, right? So they would be working in a building with other people who were working on, their games. So the people working on Mana Strike all worked in one building. Actually, here in Los Angeles is where we were working on that game, and they didn't really talk to anybody else, and they didn't really know what anyone else at the company was working on. And when they would go to lunch, they would go to lunch with other people who worked on Mana Strike, uh, because that was who was in their building, right? Now everyone's in the same company, so they could talk to anyone else, but it's just kind of set up to make that, uh, like add a little friction to that, make it a little bit harder for people to share information and things. Again, I work security, so that's what I thought about all the time. But because I worked on the security side of it, I was one of those people who had NDAs for all the projects that Niantic worked on. Many that have never been announced at all, right? So like this Mana Strike one, if you go read some of the Magic wikis, they talk about it, and you'll see there'll be like a paragraph on there like Niantic also had a prototype game, because it kind of leaked from Wizards people and stuff, and people did know about it. Although we never leaked any screenshots, which is good. Kind of my job to stop that from happening. Here's a Fabled Passage. That is usually... Oh, it's not today. This is usually a very expensive card, but I guess not right now. But yeah, and so we would another giant monster, very cool looking. Yeah, and so I knew all the games, and yeah, so there's a lot that I just can't talk about, like things we worked on, that companies we were working with, right? That I can't even mention the name of the company, because like even that was under NDA at the time. For a lot of that stuff, when we start prototyping a game, maybe there's 3 or 4 people who work on it for the first couple months before everyone we either like kill it or we grow the god, a foil version of this. But yeah, we basically like don't want to spend a lot of money on it until we know it's going to work, and so we'll kind of like prototype, iterate with 2 or 3 people for a few months, and then if it's going well, we'll expand that team, add some more artists, add some more programmers, and eventually, when a game is getting ready, basically in its content phase, when we're like getting ready to release it, the last 6 months, 8 months or so, the team can explode to hundreds of people with all the QA engineers and everybody who will come in to work on it at that point. But at the beginning, it's not that big. And so a company like Niantic can have, 10, 20 games sort of in that prototype phase all the time, right? And there were prototype engineers, basically game developers who only do that prototyping phase, who would just move from project to project to project. And as soon as the project got big enough to have like 30 people, they would give it to someone else and then go do a different one. It was a pretty interesting world to be in, I think, but also weird and tricky and strange. Yeah, but I would always be there, because the first thing we would do when we started any project was the security for it. And so I was always first. As far as engineering goes, business people were like way before me. They also don't care. It's funny, but like a lot of the sales and business type people in gaming studios just don't care. They care about like fancy cars and sports games and things like that. They don't care about games at all. And it was just as true at Niantic. John Hankey, the CEO of Niantic, he interviewed me when I started. Actually, he was just like a regular dude back then. I mean, he was the CEO of a big company, but Pokemon Go hadn't taken off yet at that point, and he wasn't a. Now he's like a multi-billionaire, right? But at that point, he wasn't. But I remember watching that happen, like watching him turn from just being like a regular guy to being like a billionaire, right? And you saw it like every day it would change. Like he'd be wearing like a super fancy watch one day, and then he'd be wearing a much fancier suit, and then he'd be driving some insane car that like there's only two of in the whole world, and you just saw this happen pretty quickly in his case. But I think it can always happen. But even he never was really into the games side of it. Um, he was always much more interested in the fitness side of the game. So if you know how Pokemon Go works, and there was actually a game before that called I'm gonna forget the name of it now. Oh, it'll come to me in a second. But their other game too, Ingress was what it was called. Yeah. So those two games are games where you basically capture territory on a real world map working with your friends. And in order to do it, you have to go outside and walk around, right? And that was his whole thing is he was big into fitness and he wanted to use gaming to basically change the fitness uh, direction of the United States, right? So he was very sad basically that like obesity was such a big thing and so many people were just sitting on their couches watching TV and playing video games too, right? He would say all the time like I don't want to make a video game that makes people just sit on their couch. He hated this idea. And so Pokemon Go was all about getting people outside and walking around and chasing Pokemon through the city and stuff like that. And that's why he very early on hired someone like me to come in there and make sure that people couldn't cheat, right? And they had to do that because with those types of games, everyone just wanted to play them from their couch and cheat basically. And I worked on the iPhone side, and it was very hard to do that by the time I left. Not impossible. There were ways to cheat still, but they required hardware usually. And that was where we always drew the line. Even I drew the line. I was like, look, I can't stop. If someone is going to go and buy like a fake cell tower and set up a fake cell tower in their house and pair their phone to it, like I can't protect you against that. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Like I can tell you that they're doing that and we can send a hit squad to their house or something, but I can't write code to stop that from happening. It's not possible, right? Like that was the line. I tried to stop everything else, and so nobody ever did that. But what people would do is they would buy if you go out on the ocean in a sailboat or a yacht and you go further than GPS signals and things go, you need to get a repeater to sort of make all that work. And so people would buy yacht GPS repeaters and use them to cheat at Pokemon Go. And that was like very hard to fight against. We tried because it would have a slightly different timing to how it delivered the signal and things like that. So we tried to block it, but it was not really possible. But we were able to block jailbroken phones very, very completely to the point that Apple themselves can't run Pokemon Go on their own phones. They can't do it because of the code I wrote. You have to be on a real phone. I don't think I want to talk too much about how that kind of code works because it's not really a secret, but it is really technical. I open trading cards to get away from that world, so I don't want to get into that. But it's interesting. Someday maybe I can talk about that. Man, these are just I'm sorry. I just keep like I know I've been opening these kind of fast and going through them. I mean, we're an hour in, but still, they're just such a nice set of cards. This is beautiful. I'm really glad that I got this and that I got a chance to open it like this on camera because I mean, these look amazing. Like freaking, this is so cool. I'm so happy about this. I hope you enjoy the video too. You know, if it's not your thing, I'm sorry, but uh, you know, I thought if there's any way to introduce magic uh, to this channel, it's through a set like this that is so cute because you're almost like you're almost getting like anime style. There have actually been anime magic sets which are now very expensive, so I can't get those. But this one isn't. But it's as close as I think you're going to get in recent years. Check that our art out. Look at that. That is so crazy. Oh, I've told this story before too. This is kind of magic related, but another set that I collect here is SCP Foundation. I was thinking of opening some today in a video. I haven't done an SCP video in a real long time, and it might be fun. But that set is all stolen artwork. And what that means is that Kamon, the company that published it, you know, literally just went to DeviantArt and SCP Wiki and stuff and just were like cut and paste. That's my art now, right? They didn't ask the artist, they didn't pay the artist. They just took the art and published it on their cards, and that's the way it went, right? And now what I've done is I did a lot of work to sort of figure out where all the art came from on all those cards. And so for every single one of them, I have gone and figured out the original artist who drew the image that Kamon stole. And whenever possible, I've actually reached out to that artist over email or Instagram or whatever and told them and said, hey, you know, I'm not the one who did this, but your art was stolen and printed on this set. Uh, I understand that that's terrible, but if you're interested, I can send you a copy of the card with your art on it. Maybe you just want to see your art on a form like that, right? Because for a lot of artists, seeing their art printed any possible way is kind of a thrill, right? Now, for a lot of them, they got very angry and were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe someone stole my art." But there were also a lot who were just like, "Yeah, I would love to get a card with my own art on it. That's amazing, right?" And so I sent a lot of cards out that way. But one interaction in particular was very weird. Um, the I can't remember the card anymore. Oh, that's so cool. That's the otter one. That is wild. That's amazing. Uh, I can't remember the art, but the artist, when I sourced it, I was like shocked because she was a very famous Magic the Gathering artist now. And I don't know if she drew anything for this set, but she's definitely drawn a lot of Magic cards over the years. And the image that Kamon had stolen was something she had made a long time before she became a Magic artist. But now that she is like an established Magic artist, she has, you know, 100,000 followers on Instagram. She has an agent, a social media manager, like all this kind of stuff, right? But I still reached out because that's what I was doing at the time. And so I reached out and I sent them an Instagram message and I said, hey, you know, I know this sucks, but your art got stolen and is on this set. And the reply I got was from their agent. And their agent was livid, like all caps, swearing all the time, and just like, oh, no one's allowed to do this. It's almost horrible, you know, that kind of thing. And I was just like laughing at this reply because, you know, they were mad at me, which I don't know why, because I had explained like it wasn't mine. But I replied and I just explained again. I'm like, oh, look, I didn't make this. I'm just telling you about it. Like, don't shoot the messenger, my man. They apparently just wanted to murder the messenger was their plan, which that doesn't solve the problem, right? Like if you kill the messenger, it does not change the message. It just you just killed somebody for no reason. So that's why we have that saying. They don't understand that. But I did tell them, I was like, look, I can help you figure out who this company is if you want to go talk to them about it, which is laughable. And they were like, yes, tell us who this company is, and we're going to go sue them and all this stuff. And I was just like, okay, well, it's came on. They're at this address in China. Good luck. And I know for a fact they never did anything. They never told me or anything like that. But you don't sue companies in China. That doesn't happen unless you are also in China. And so unless they were planning on like establishing a company in China or something, there's no way they were going to be suing anyone there. Let's stop. This is crazy. So this is a badger. It is a mythic rare and also a showcase. So it's not one of the cards on the list that I see here. But I kind of want to go to the next page because I bet this is probably a pretty high tier card. I'm probably super wrong. Yeah, okay, it doesn't even show up on the second page. So this is not even a $5 card. Let's put it right there. I think I had another showcase, right? Was it in here? This card is about $6 for that. I'm sorry, I can see it now on the second page. Oh, let me finish with these first. I got so excited about that card, I stopped. But let's keep going here. So here's a another rare. It's there, I guess. We got some uncommons, and then our commons. God, that's creepy. Yeah, I love another thing I love about Magic is they always credit the artist. So every single card is going to say who drew that image. And I think that's very important and really like, you know me, I'm all about supporting the artists and things. And so if there's a chance to credit an artist on a card, I want to do it. I probably should not have been sleeving all the full art lands. I don't know. Maybe those will be worth something someday. I doubt it, but it could happen. It could happen. This is not it. Three Tree City. This card is a $21 card. So this is probably our highest value card so far. I can kind of show you what this is. So this is a rare land, and it when you play it, you choose a creature type. So you can choose rabbit, right? And then later on, you can cast that. This little symbol here means tap, but cast basically. And that's going to add any color magic. So you can use this for like any color, which is already very powerful. But then for 2 mana, you can choose a color, add an amount of mana of that color equal to the number of creatures you control of that chosen type. So remember what I told you about the rabbits, right? Where the rabbits, you can get like hundreds of rabbits out there. So if you play that and you choose rabbit, then later on for just 2 mana, you can get 100 mana, right? And once you have 100 mana, you're gonna win pretty quickly. So yeah, that's like an I win card, basically. That's why it costs $21. The other reason is that when you build a deck for Magic, you can have up to 4 copies of any card. And for odds reasons, it's a good idea for you to have as many copies of your important cards as you can, right? So like with this, anyone who is using this card in their deck would have 4 of them in their deck. And it's pretty rare. You see, I opened a whole box here. I got 1. I probably got pretty lucky getting that. So getting 4 of those is hard. And that's what drives the cost of a mana card, of a Magic card, is sort of how, you know, there's a couple ways. Like if it's very rare art or something like that, that can really drive the cost. But for playable Magic cards, what drives the cost is the card playable in decks, and does it require 4 copies or just 1 copy? If it takes 4 copies, that card will become expensive. especially if those decks are powerful, uh, which the rabbit decks are pretty powerful. So yeah, that's why. Look at this. We're over an hour, but we're almost done. We're gonna finish, I think, here today. It's been a wild day. I'm not gonna lie. I was probably foolish to try to do an entire booster box in one day like this, but I really just kind of wanted to. I don't have a better excuse than that. Oh, let me pause here for 1 second. All right, I am back. Sorry about that. That was Miss Archivist actually brought me some hibiscus lemonade, which sounds amazing, and it is really good. And she made this from lemons that we grow here in our own garden at our house. We have a pretty special lemon tree because it creates sweet lemons. They're not sour like a normal lemon is. And then we've also like been propagating that tree as we move between cities. So we've had that tree for a while. And then we have like 2 copies because with plants you can clone them, and so we have two copies of that tree. And then also that hibiscus flower that's in this lemonade is also from our garden. We grow hibiscus plants here too. Another full art swamp. This era of Magic is so strange, where you can get like all these full art cards like this. The decks must look awesome at like play nights and stuff. Again, I don't play paper Magic, so I don't know, but if I did, I would have decks full of that kind of stuff. That stuff is awesome. It's actually something that always I'm going to go back now to that Star Wars CCG game. It's something that always made me so I don't know about angry, but frustrated with Decipher. Decipher, the company, would never do that. They would never create alternate. They did it like at the very end of the game. They made like a few, but they never made like alternate art versions of their cards. And even when they did, it would only have like an alternate image. They never made a borderless card or a full art card. Or like the one everyone always wanted was Jabba the Hutt sideways, right? Because he's a long, fat guy. He should have had a sideways card. And they designed one. It was in like this Reflections preview design they did, but it never actually got released. And so, like I have printed one that I have made for myself, and I've printed them for a few other people, but they're, not common things to find. And in the digital game, I actually include tons of that kind of stuff that me and some other artists made, because we just enjoy that. Here is another very nice looking card. I don't think it's super expensive or anything, but it's a cool little showcase. Some more uncommons. Man, this has been fun, but also a lot. I think if I do the Final Fantasy one, I don't know, I'll probably do it all in one video again just because I can't resist. But also I should probably do it in 2 videos. And I should also say that because this is also this card is very popular in the game right now. Because I don't play this in paper, if there are any cards you saw here that you're really interested in, leave a comment or just contact me. My email and stuff is in the somewhere, or I can tell you if you leave a comment, and I can send them to you. If they're expensive, you'll have to pay for it, of course, but it wouldn't be I wouldn't charge you the same as I would on like eBay, right? But chances are, like this card, I will list that on eBay someday, and so if you want it now, let me know and I can get it to you for a little bit cheaper, right? But I don't know if anyone. I really don't know. I have no idea if people out there play this game as much as I do, uh, or like it as much as I do. I don't know. I mean, it's a crazy popular game. I know that, but I just don't know how much that crosses over with like anime card fans. Should I don't know. I mean, I do both, so I assume there's other people out there who also would enjoy both. Very cool art land still. Trash Tactician. Oh, I don't know if I've seen that card before. That's awesome. I mean, the art is amazing. Like I said, I don't know if this one is used or popular, but it's a cool looking card for sure. Uncommon, uncommon, uncommon. All right, we are getting close to the end now. We have 3 more packs to go, and then we'll be done with this. For now, for now. Like I said, I am getting a case of Final Fantasies, so I'll open one of those at least. I might open two. I don't know. I'll probably only open one because I need to sell some in order to make the money from the case back. So I will be selling some of those boxes, not right away, but probably at a strategic point. But I also intend to give one away, so I'm going to be giving away one of those boxes of Final Fantasy Magic, which terrifies me. That literally scares me. It scares me because it means a lot of people will enter that giveaway, and I have to like reply to all those emails. It's going to be like a lot of emails, I think. But I don't blame them. It's that's a really good prize for a giveaway. Tricky to ship too because they are expensive, and in fact, like you're not technically allowed to sell those outside of America. It's sort of if you're like an official distributor, you cannot. But even like a store wouldn't be allowed to send it to someone in Europe. That's against Wizards rules. But I am a private seller, and so there's this concept. I've talked about this concept a lot because it's the concept that allows me to. This is a full art. To sell like bootleg anime cards, and that's because it's called the right of first sale. And so the right of first sale means that Rudy is the official seller of the cards from Magic the Gathering. He has to follow all the rules, but Magic can only enforce those rules against him because he's the first seller. So they have rights to the first seller, but not to anybody else. So they can't enforce any rules like that on secondary sales after that. It's not allowed. They try and they want to, but they can't. Let's look this card up because this is Swords to Plowshares, and it is a mythic rare and also a full art of some type. So I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go just see if I can figure out what this is worth. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just looking now just to see if it's on the first or second pages. I don't think so. Okay, I'm gonna pause and I'll figure this out. I'll be right back. All right, and I'm back, and it should be another about $25 card maybe. So we got 2 here that are pretty good. These are easily our top 2 cards, unless I might have missed something in the others, but I don't think I did. If I did, let me know, of course, in the comments. Be like, hey, dummy, this other card that you put in this pile is like worth $100. Like, please let me know, because I did miss it if that's the case. But I believe these 2 are kind of our big hits from the box. And if you've been paying attention, that's not enough to cover the cost of the box, right? It's just not something you should expect from a play box. From a collector box, you actually should probably expect that. Although again, it depends on how much you paid, right? If you paid for the collector box a year after it came out and you paid like $1,000 premium on it, you're probably not going to make your money back, right? But if you bought it when it came out and you were able to get a deal on it through Rudy or somebody, it's very likely that you will make money on those collector boxes. I'll be honest, like if the Final Fantasy collector boxes had been more in the like $400 range, I would have bought one. Like that's about where my limit was on that. But they weren't. They are 800 and more, and so that's just too much for me. So I had to let that go. Even though even at $800, you will make money on that. I almost guarantee it. Um, I'm very sure of that. And especially if you pull one of those chocobos, like, oh my God, you could make like $20,000. You could make like a lot of money, right? But you have to get super, super, super lucky for that to happen. But it's not impossible. It has to happen to somebody, right? But at the same time, I was not ready to spend that kind of money on that kind of a risk right now. It's just not what I want to do. I'd rather get the play boxes and just have more cards to look at, which is what we did here. This has been a ton of fun. Um, I think I'm gonna end the video here just because we are like at way over an hour now. I enjoyed this quite a bit. We got like some art things. We got two pretty good cards here. Some different alternate treatments, tons of lands. Let me know what I missed. So if you saw something here and you were like, that's really cool, and you didn't even talk about it, please let me know because I probably just didn't know, or I went by it too quickly, or I got distracted by something else, very common for me. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed what you saw here today. And yeah, have a great rest of your week, everybody. Bye bye.